I mean, it's Cooper Rush worth 2.5 points. I would hope Quinn Ewers put up a decent stat line against Arizona State. If he didn't, we have a real problem.
You can say the same thing about Creighton. Okay, they have the one good game against Kansas at home.
When Toast talks about the kicking market, it's like some earth is flat shit. Andy, true or false, this is going to be a dog walking.
Dog walking. This is my dog walking of the day. I think it's going to be very ugly. Dog walking. I think this is going to be ugly.
Hey, get the sauce. What's up, everybody? Oh, where'd the chat just disappeared on me? Well, let's get that back. Oh, there we go. Chat's back. What's up, everybody? Happy Thursday night. We said last week we're going to go live as soon as the game's over, so here we are. That was a fun little game. I didn't end up placing a bet on the game. I would have won the under at 43.5. I didn't take it. Did you take any? Oh, you had the Seahawks, right?
Yep. Yeah, had the Seahawks. Obviously was feeling much better towards the end there. A little bit of a sweat, and the new kickoff rule, the fact that the Arizona guy couldn't get it in the landing zone, and then they already started their own 40, and then they get a little redemption for the kicking. But yeah, I mean, I like Seattle's defense. I thought they'd be able to slow down the run game, make them a little one-dimensional, which worked for the most part. And then, I'm still a little skeptical of Arizona, Kyler Murray, although, hats off to him. Nice drive there towards the end of the game. But, it got interesting. But Darnold did have a couple nice throws there late to get the win.
I don't know how, and I'm not the type of person that bashes players or anything, so I don't want it to come off as that. But my reaction when I watch Kyler Murray is always, how has this dude kept a starting job for this long? I don't want to see I'm shitting on the guy. He accomplished way more in life than I have. I'm just saying, yes, there was a drive there at the end. There was that one throw. It was on the first drive of the game where it's every NFL quarterback makes that throw. He was under a little bit of pressure, but he had the guy. I was like, dude, you can't make that throw. You can't play at this level. I don't know how he kept his starting job.
No, it's surprising, but when they pay him enough money, it's hey, we just got to roll with this guy. And yeah, there's a couple really nice plays by Kyler Murray, but man, to me, it's just you keep coming back to his size, and you need to be taller to play in the NFL. It's just not going to work when you're that small and your game is structured like that. And they have not really figured out an offense to fully unlock him. I don't think Marvin Harrison is the number one receiver. Maybe it ends up working out for him, but he's not off to a great start. And it's just basically him trying to find Trey McBride. And if McBride's covered, they're kind of out of luck. And they had a bunch of dink and dunk stuff there with Dortch. But yeah, I mean, to your point, I keep looking at Kyler and they're just a classic. They can beat bad teams. Sure. Saints. Hey, you want to trot out some of these lower level teams. And they were an interesting team when we did the win total episode because their schedule, they play a lot of bad teams or a lot of teams that I didn't think was going to be that good. So there are some easy W's for the Cardinals, but when they play tougher teams and the Seattle team, the defense looks good. Darnold looks competitive. The Charbonnet, Kenneth Walker combo looks good. So yeah, I'm with you. Kyler's not him, as the kids say. Kyle, he's just not.
Yeah, he's not a starting quarterback at this level. The batted down passes, you're yeah, he's fine. And do you remember when he was drafted, everyone was height doesn't matter. Yeah, it does. It does matter.
I mean, yeah, okay, maybe you're going to be Doug Flutie, but how long did Doug Flutie stay in the league? Even Vic, who was right on the edge of how tall you can be, still a guy that small of a frame, and Vic's athleticism is way better than Kyler. No offense to Kyler, but you're just going to get beat up, or you're going to struggle to see over the line. It sounds simple, but there really is something to that.
There was a whole campaign of height doesn't matter that time, and it was oh, it definitely matters, and we see it all the time. But yeah, we're actually getting into 4 games here. Then we'll get into baseball and then college football at the end. And we're starting out with the London game, and I believe I watched your show, and I believe we're in lockstep on this one. You're on the Steelers as well, right?
Yeah, 100%. Give me the Steelers plus 2.5 points. It starts and ends. For me, is just Mike Tomlin as a dog, 63, 39, and 5 ATS. I love the fact that we're fading a Vikings team coming off a massive win where kind of everything went right for the Vikings. Just from the Isaiah Rodgers, 2 defensive touchdowns, the fumbles bouncing right to them. Now, certainly that Bengals team was never the right side, and they showed it. But everything broke correct for this Vikings team. This just seems like the ultimate letdown spot for them. It'll be interesting to see because they have a back-to-back Europe spot here. But the first game in Dublin, I like the Steelers here, and the Vikings losing their first-round pick, the guard who broke his wrist. I think that's going to be a nice jumpstart for the Steelers defense, who has struggled a little bit. If you want to say I'm worried about Rodgers versus the Flores defense, I get that. I think they're going to be pretty conservative on offense. And I was on the Steelers last week, and they I mean, it's two sides of the coin. Like, they got all those turnovers. They should have done more with it. But I would highlight the fact that they did force, 5 turnovers, 4 fumbles, and an interception. I think they're great. And you see, especially in these Ireland games, the Europe games, the sloppiness, the drop balls, the fumbles, I think that's going to be a big difference. And Carson Wentz, I cannot trust overseas.
Couldn't agree more, and I almost have word for word a lot of what you said written down here. I think we're seeing the Steelers defense turn a corner. Keep in mind they were missing pieces last week. No Joey Porter, no Deshaun Elliott either. So I actually think we're going to see the Steelers start to play some defense. I know it's been bad, but last week on the road in New England, the Patriots were moving the ball. As Sean just said, they were kind of shooting themselves in the foot. They were moving the ball a little bit, but they weren't really running it. 20.7% success rate per rush. They didn't have a consistent, successful rushing attack. Drake May was making plays that Carson Wentz most definitely can't play. And that's kind of where I'm getting at here. There's no Aaron Jones for the Vikings. Sean just mentioned the left guard is out, their first-round pick there. We don't know if Ryan Kelly's coming back at center. So they might be missing 2 pieces on the interior offensive line for the Vikings without Aaron Jones, without J.J. McCarthy, who's an athlete. If Minnesota's not able to run the ball in this game, and if New England wasn't able to in New England, I don't think they're going to with their hobbled offensive line and backup running back, even though Jordan Mason looks good. If they're able to run, if Carson Wentz doesn't have run support in this game, could get ugly overseas here. And I think we're going to see the Steelers play their first staple Pittsburgh Steeler good defensive football game, and like you said, I think the sloppiness, the turnovers, I think that favors the Pittsburgh side. I'm more inclined, even though the Vikings defense can make some plays as well, but we've seen the Steelers defense win so many games with big plays late. Look, on the other side, I'm not thrilled with the idea of Rodgers overseas against Flores defense again. We just saw it last year, and it wasn't great. I mean,
maybe he learned something, Kyle.
Well, and I mean, despite it not even being a great game, the Jets had the ball. I think.
Well, they were in that thing, and I know because I was against them on there, and I was like, oh man, am I gonna have to sweat this out? I thought I had this cash. And you mentioned the Steelers' inability to run the ball. As kind of rough as this Patriots team has looked, for the most part, they've done a good job defensively slowing down the run. So that might have just been kind of a matchup thing, and I think this is a get right spot for their run game, as you were saying there.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'm not expecting Pittsburgh to go off offensively, but the Vikings, Van Ginkel hasn't practiced, Hargrave didn't practice, Metellus, that safety, who he records a lot of tackles for them, he's questionable, although I think he's going to play. So yeah, plus 2.5, in my opinion. I could see a fully healthy Vikings team laying 2.5 here as a short favorite, but with the current injuries, the interior offensive line, the running back, I would probably have this one at a pick or Steelers -1. I think this is a good one, and I did bet this.
Let's go.
All right, we're starting off on the same page, and we're on the same page again.
What? You're fading your boy?
I know, and I'm fading the defense too.
Yeah. Well, and so we're talking obviously Rams, Colts. I'm all over the Rams here, laying the 3.5. A lot of people would say they were the right side against the Eagles last week, which was an all-time bad beat. But fortunately, I was on the Eagles. Still don't know how they covered that. But, I mean, you look at McVay. Let's just start with McVay, who got a little cute, I think, in hindsight, with some of their second-half play calling. I don't think they're going to get cute in this game. I think they're going to attack the Colts. I think Puka Nacua is going to have a great game against this Colts secondary. And again, you want to talk about like weird outcomes. This Colts team should probably be 2-1. Of course, we remember the Broncos leverage field goal thing. And now this is a tough travel spot for the Colts as well. They went to the East Coast against the Titans. Now they got to go all the way to the West Coast against the Rams. And I could see a little complacency biting this Colts team because they're 3-0. Hey, if they're 3-1 through the first 4 games with like what was happening with this team, I think they would still be very happy. Now, meanwhile, on the Rams side, the Rams were really pissed off about that loss. They were fired up, and you look at the Rams defensive line, Jared Verse is a beast. I think he's going to have a good game against the Colts offensive line. And Daniel Jones really hasn't faced a tremendous amount of pass rush. Like the Broncos, as good as they have played, or as good as their defensive line is, they didn't do a good enough job getting to Daniel Jones. And honestly, for me, Rams off a loss under McVay, 28-19-4. That's always going to be a spot I'm going to be looking to take them. So I get it. The Colts have exceeded expectations. Every time I've faded them on the show, they've shoved it down my throat. But this is the spot, Kyle. This is the spot. The Rams get the win, get the cover here.
Agree completely. So the Rams' defense against the run has been excellent. To go into Philadelphia and hold that rushing attack down. Yeah, I mean, no one's run on the Rams yet, and they're pretty healthy on the defensive side of the ball. This is a very strong defense that doesn't often get talked about as a very strong defense. Look, I'm not saying the Colts offense is going to get shut down. Clearly, Steichen's got something rolling there, but I think this could be the Colts' worst offensive game. Not going to be. I think we're at the point where it's like we can't just completely count the Colts offense out, but I think this will be their worst offensive game. I think the Rams are capable of taking the run away, like they just did in Philadelphia on the road. But really, my bet on the Rams is on the other side of the ball. Poor Lou. This is a really, really tough matchup for the Colts defensively. They've been struggling to stop the run. That's been the weakest element of their team so far this year. The Rams, the last two games, 5.8 yards per carry, 52.9% success rate per rush. That rushing attack is coming alive, and we've seen this before from the Rams. It gets going. Once it gets going, it's like, oh shit, this team can run the ball. And we saw it the last two games on the road in Philly, and then or at home against Tennessee, whatever. But they've run the ball the last two games. The Colts are a bottom 6 or 7 run defense on paper so far this year. So right off the bat, the Colts are coming in like, okay, we got to figure out a way to stop this run game. And another thing the Colts don't do is pressure the quarterback at a high rate. Yeah. So you're going to give Matt Stafford at home, coming off a loss, run support and time to throw. You say what you want about Matt Stafford. If he has run support and a clean pocket, I'd still think he's a top 3 quarterback. If he has those two things, obviously he wouldn't be a top 3 quarterback because of the other aspects, the age, the mobility, and all of that. But if he has run support and a clean pocket to throw from, I don't know like how many quarterbacks I would take before him in a situation like that. So he should have run support, and he should have clean pockets to throw from in this game. Not to mention Kenny Moore most likely not playing in this game. That's one of the Colts' best defensive players. Yeah. DeForest Buckner practiced, though, so it looks like they are going to get Buckner. We don't know that for sure. But, yeah, honestly, you think about it with the Broncos game, what would this line be at if the Broncos win that game? I think we'd be up at 4.5.
Yeah. No, 100%. And I think they're getting kind of like – well, they're undefeated. We gotta respect them a little bit, and I'm just not quite there yet with the Colts. If the Colts go in to Los Angeles against this Rams team coming off a loss with the injuries the Colts have on the defensive side, and they get a win, I'll seriously have to reevaluate where I have this Colts team. And I was not high on them coming into the season. I've been slowly bumping them up. I had them over the over the Titans last week, but this is a different spot. With the travel as well, with a hungry Rams team, I think this is a smash spot for the Rams.
Yep, let's do it. I'm with you. We are going to disagree on the next one, but there's an asterisk. Because when I texted you that, I texted Sean earlier. So Sean texted me the games we were going to talk about, and he sent Chiefs money line. And I was like, dude, are you kidding? Like, how do you bet the Chiefs? Then I was preparing notes, and in addition to Matabike, the whole Ravens defensive line has been added to the injury report, and they all missed practice. So I'm rethinking my position here. But go ahead. You're taking not taking the points. Money line.
No. I'm give me the. Well, I mean, whatever. I'm going to be playing a little bit of both, but I think KC wins this outright. You can get the money line at plus 125. If you want to just take the 2.5, that's fine. Now, certainly, you want to talk about teams good off a loss. Obviously, Harbaugh and the Ravens, Lamar. That makes total sense to me. This is the Kansas City Chiefs at home as a dog. Mahomes has been great as a dog. Now, he certainly lost a couple here in a row as a dog, going back to, against the Eagles, etc. I would be very surprised if this Chiefs team starts out 0-2 at home in Arrowhead. And I understand this isn't the Chiefs team of previous years, but this still is Patrick Mahomes. And honestly, against a really injured Ravens defense. And this Ravens defense, they've allowed the most yards in the NFL. And I know their only win is against the Browns, and even that game they got outgained. So it was not, if you're a lot of like quote unquote sharps like the yards per play metric. If you look at any of the yards per play stuff for this Ravens team, it does not look pretty. Their offense has been good, but then even then, like watching that game, eye test, did Lamar look comfortable in the pocket? Did Lamar look comfortable running? I don't know if something happened in the first half. He felt like he was hesitant, and I felt like Detroit kind of put out a little bit of a blueprint on how to play him with that like mush rush where they try and just like limit his scrambles and don't necessarily totally come at him with the pressure. I love Spagnuolo against this Ravens offense, but really it's just about how injured and beat up this Ravens defense is. They're horrible to the tight end. I think this could be a bounce back spot for Kelsey. And yes, the last time the Chiefs went 0-2 at home to start the season, that was Alex Smith in 2015. So I think they get the win here. Give me the Chiefs.
All right. So about the Lions game, I think maybe this is a little bit of hot take culture. I think Harbaugh was outcoached in that game, and it was pretty clear to me that Dan Campbell came in with a very clear-cut game plan. So on the offensive side, they were purposely letting that play clock run out. They came in with a plan. We're holding on to the ball forever, and there were times where Goff was just standing there looking at it. Wait, like they were, like they were. That was a point. Like we are holding on to the football forever in this game, which obviously was successful. But in addition to that, I think, and this is more opinionated. So based on what we've seen the last few months, the second half of last year into this year, Lions haven't been much of a threat in terms of rushing the passer. And I think Baltimore kind of came in not really expecting Lamar to be under siege like that and kind of unprepared. And because, like you said, he looked hesitant, he looked uncomfortable, and I think they just weren't prepared for that. I think they most definitely will be prepared for that on the road against Spagnuolo. They know how to play Spagnuolo. They're sending blitzes, and they're going to make it a point to have things in motion where Lamar's able to get the ball out of his hands quickly. I think the pass rush caught Baltimore off guard, and the way Detroit was able to run the ball and stay on the field forever just to put Baltimore in a real, I just think they got outcoached. And I don't think that's going to happen here to that extent. And I think the Ravens offense should bounce back in a major way. But seeing the injuries to Baltimore's defense, I talked about this game the other night, and I said Ravens and over. So I'm just going straight with the over. It would still be Ravens. I wouldn't change sides, but that defense, man, and the Ravens with Hollywood Brown or with Worthy back. Not that Worthy is a needle mover or anything, but the Ravens run a lot of man coverage and like the single high safeties. I think Mahomes, who never airs it out, I think we can see Mahomes connect on a big play or two.
Yeah, and look at like Tyquan Thornton had some big shots there against the Giants. If nothing else, Xavier Worthy running deep clears stuff out for them underneath. And you go back to the coaching stuff. I get what you're saying, but also like I don't know if Harbaugh this season has done a great job coaching. He was always kind of like the guy you could trust in some of the analytics stuff of like whether to go for it on fourth down. There was that really cute Derrick Henry pass inside the red zone that I thought was just like, what are you doing? Derrick Henry's really good at running the ball. Why? And the Derrick Henry fumbles in two key spots now in big games. I think they're and just Harbaugh in general, like normally he's a guy you can rely on to kind of like, hey, punt here, don't punt here, go for it here, don't go for it. I'm worried he might be losing a little bit of that edge on top of just the season and the defensive injuries. I can't get past the defensive injuries. So
I'm going to pull them up on the screen real quick before we move on so you guys can see exactly how bad. I just made this graphic earlier. This is like... So in addition, we already knew Matabike, but in addition to that, you have the entire, you guys can see it on the screen.
Look at that. It's insane.
And all three of those guys, Van Noy didn't play last week, but Broderick Washington and Travis Jones were both added and both missed practice. So this is crazy. Oh, man, this defense already sucks.
Yes, that to me, I agree with a lot of the points you said on the offensive side. I am a little worried about Derrick Henry and the fumbling thing, but the Chiefs team going up against an injured and super injured Ravens team, who is not playing well to begin with. I think it's just a good matchup for them on that side of the ball.
I still think Ravens -2.5 would be my pick, but I'm hesitant with the injuries. I think of that Ravens offense when it's humming is the best in the NFL. And the Chiefs have struggled against the run a little bit. Yeah, I think the Ravens will move the ball. But anyway, last game. There's no, we don't. You already know what we're taking here. I got Green Bay at a good number. I would still play it at the 7, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, 7's fine for me. Give me the Packers laying the 7. I think Circa had a 6.5 minus 115.
There's still this is just going. I think this is pinnacle, but there's 6.5s out there. Yes.
Yeah, I think I'm fine at a 7 minus 105, 6.5 minus 115. Yes, smash it. I mean, I try not to bet too much against the Cowboys because I'm so insanely biased, but this situation is great. In the same way that my co-host Kramer was on the Browns money line because it was clear look-ahead spot for the Packers last week. The Packers will be coming off a loss. LaFleur's good off a loss. You got Jordan Love in this passing game against this Cowboys secondary. Now, maybe they get Bland back, but they have just looked horrible at slowing down anyone. I mean, Eberflus, the joke is that Eberflus finally figured out how to unlock Caleb Williams. And I just look at this Packers team coming off the loss. They're going to be so fired up for this game. Micah obviously is going to be fired up for this game against the Cowboys offensive line that's banged up as well. And really, to me, the only reason you would take Dallas plus 7 is, well, CD's playing really well, and he's kind of generating their entire pass offense. I think it was like 23% of their receiving yards, and so maybe they would backdoor that or kind of hang around because they could do some stuff in the passing game. But now that CD's out,
yeah,
I just really struggle to figure out how do the Cowboys move the ball, and how does the Cowboys defense slow down the Packers passing game? I'm really struggling. Like I've looked at this game a bunch. It's chalky as hell. But I just don't. A Cowboys team that they've allowed 900 passing yards, and that was week 1. I think Hurts only had like 150. And again, going LaFleur off a loss, 19-13 ATS. That's a good spot. Tyler Booker's out, the right guard. That's going to be just adding to the trouble for them, and they have not shown up in these spots. So it's chalky. I'm sure me and the public are going to be all over the Packers. But is there a good case for the Cowboys?
I don't even know what I suppose the strongest argument, and I'm on the Green Bay also.
Yeah.
I suppose the strongest argument would be the injuries to the Packers offense. Zach Tom's probably not going to play.
The line's banged up. Yeah.
Yeah. Aaron Banks didn't practice. Christian Watson and Jaden Reed. Well, Christian Watson's always out, but Jaden Reed is going to miss another game. So I suppose you could say that. But honestly, I don't even really care. Like, I don't want to say I don't care, but because the Packers are going to run the ball and whatever. That defense is so bad. It's so I don't even need the Packers offense to be excellent, because on the other side of the ball, I mean, the Cowboys are missing 2 pieces of their interior offensive line. Cooper Beebe's been out. Now Tyler Booker's going to miss this game as well. CeeDee Lamb, as you mentioned, isn't playing. Green Bay's defense looks like it might be the best in the NFL. Michael Parsons, like you said, is going to try to make a splash play.
Come on.
So,
well, I don't know if you saw it, but basically Micah couldn't. They wouldn't. So Micah had bought a suite as part of whatever, some sort of thing, and they wouldn't give him his money back at Cowboys Stadium for the suite he bought. They wouldn't give him a refund. So, like, just to add insult to injury with all and it clearly got personal there with Micah and Jerry Jones, and the Packers were obviously looking ahead towards this game, but even the Packers have played great defense. I mean, going now that what we've seen out of the Lions team so far, it makes it that week 1 that much more impressive, right? Like they destroyed that Lions offense. Now maybe the Lions new coordinator or whatever, they're figuring that out. It's on the road, but that to me highlights how good this Packers defense is.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I agree, and I think everyone, the lead story, be like, oh, the Cowboys defense is so bad. But with the Packers banged up offense, for me, it's the other side of the ball.
Yeah.
I think Dak's going to be in prison here. So, yeah, I'm on the Packers, and I would still play it at the 6.5.
Smash it. Let's go.
Or where you guys, your NFL video is up. It's for yesterday. So tell the folks where they can find it.
Yeah, Sports Gambling Podcast over on YouTube. We do an NFL picks episode where we pick every NFL game against the spread. We do a college one where we pick like 16, 17 games. We do a props episode. So if you like betting football, we got you covered. And youtube.com/sportsgamblingpodcast. Appreciate everyone you sending over, Kyle. And look forward to every Thursday night.
Yeah, man. Just typed it into the comments so everyone could see. SGPN, Sports Gambling Podcast Network. You type it in just like that. And they go through the entire slate. They go through every single game. That was last night, so you guys could go check that out.
Awesome. Right. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Talk soon.
Go Packers.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Let's talk baseball, and then we'll do college football at the end. Is Spoon on? Oh, you know what? Spoon might not be here yet. Whatever. I'll hang on. Yeah, someone asked if I'm doing a breakdown for TCU, Arizona State. Yeah, I just didn't do it yet. It'll be up late night, so depending on how late you stay up, it'll be up in the morning.
What's up, world?
One sec. Yeah, I Spoon might just not, because it's only 11:55. He might just not be looking at his email yet.
Touche. Well, this shouldn't be too long for MLB.
Yeah, there's a lot of games with no lines.
A lot of games with no lines, a lot of games that really are meaningless. There's a few to talk about. I wouldn't mind, but shout out Chad Ryland for cashing my kicking prop and then killing the Arizona chances.
Yeah, if I was them, I probably would have went for 2. Actually, I don't know.
I didn't understand that, to be honest. I don't know the football math on it, but I would assume that going
the math
for 2.
Behind, we were just talking about this. The math behind it is you have like a 62% chance of converting the 2-point conversion. If the game goes to overtime, you have a 50% chance of winning. So go for 2. You have a 62% chance of winning. You have a better chance of winning the game going for 2. It makes
more
sense.
That goes into that. I get that.
Yeah, it makes sense mathematically, but there's also like, man, like you don't know if the defense has a specific play. Like the you don't know if like the Seahawks have something in store. Be like, yo, if they try to go for 2 at any point in this game, I know if we send this blitz, this is going to knock out 90% of the plays they call. Like you don't know if they have something up their sleeves for that. And there's a lot more than just, it's 62%. That's the rate at which an offensive 2-point conversion hits. So it's not as simple. And I feel like sometimes they coach just solely based off the numbers, which doesn't necessarily translate into those raw numbers.
And it wasn't, there was a couple splash plays for Seattle, but the Arizona defense did look decent in that second half.
That defensive line might be good,
yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah, I get it. I also think, though, at the same time, you have to take, if I'm Arizona's coach, not a football guy, but how many times am I going to drive it the length of the field to score on Seattle? For me,
yeah,
I don't know. Like, you had a couple Marvin Harrison. That looked like a push off to me. But again, it is what it is.
Yeah, well, he extended his arms a little bit. It's one of those, like, I don't know.
It's the NFL. Does anybody know what a catch is?
It's all subjective. White Sox Nationals. Cade Cavalli.
Your boy on the mound. The Nationals have been playing a little bit better. I'm not trying to lay juice with them, but I do think that they have a little bit of a starting pitching advantage. Gomez hasn't been terrible, and he's also faced some pretty decent teams that are offensively gifted. I know the Padres are kind of up and down, but on the spreadsheet, the Padres offense looks good. On the road at Cleveland, who's been playing well, Tampa, Minnesota, the Yankees. So Gomez has seen the ringer as well. It would be under 9 or pass for me. I don't understand why this is 9. Cavalli's been pitching well as well. One blow-up start on the road at Yankee Stadium. I don't really fault him for that. Gave up 3 to Pittsburgh, but besides that, he's been pitching pretty well. Neither of these offenses really impressed me right now. It'd be under 9. I don't even understand why it's 9. I feel like it should be 8.5.
Next game, Twins Phillies.
Yeah, can you type Twins first 5 for me if you can? This isn't like a fade of. I'm not trying to go to bat with the Twins very often, but they have looked pretty decent over the last month and change, especially offensively. And the reason I'm not playing full game is anything could happen with both of these bullpens, but Aaron Nola has been terrible. And you might think that sooner or later he's going to figure it out. And he did have a good home start against the Mets, which was really positive for him, but he followed it up getting absolutely shelled at home against the Royals and then kind of shelled on the road in Arizona as well. Joe Ryan hasn't been great 2 of his last 3 starts. One of them was on the road, and then the last one was against Cleveland. I just assume that he wants to end the year on a high note. And this Phillies offense, I think you're going to start seeing guys like Bryce Harper sick. A couple guys are sick. So I don't know if you're going to see the full Philadelphia lineup tomorrow. And like I said, this Twins offense has been kind of smashing lately. So I know that they haven't been winning a whole bunch of games, but their offense, especially over the course of the last month, has been more than fine. So as long as they can get a couple here against a guy like Taijuan Walker, I bet them plus 105. I didn't even tell you the number. I suck. But anyway, yeah, I bet them. Spoon is here though.
Yeah, Spoon, you only missed one game. It was the Nats game. You didn't miss anything. Let me get you on the screen.
Did you have anything for that Nats game? I said under 9 or pass.
I was looking at Washington in that game. I just think they're a little bit of a better lineup at this point, and I think they have the better pitcher on the mound. Not a huge lean in that game. It's just 2 bad teams end of the season. Don't necessarily know what you're going to get out of either, but I think they got the better roster.
Yeah, I can't argue that at all. I'm not really looking to lay juice with Washington. That's the only reason. But if I had to pick a side, it would definitely be them. So did you have any opinions on this Twins game? I took the Twins first 5 at plus money. Nothing crazy big, but I do think there's a significant starting pitching advantage. And with Minnesota being offensively okay the last month, I'm all right taking plus money. What about you?
Yeah, Philly doesn't have a ton left to play for at this point in the season. Joe Ryan, this is going to be his final start of the season. It's been a nice season for him. He's managed to stay healthy the entire time. I like that first 5 look, him going out there, keeping this team in it. I'm not opposed to Minnesota full game either. I think these last few games of the season, there's a lot of sneaky value with these underdogs.
I couldn't agree more. Next game on the board, Baltimore on the road in Yankee Stadium. Trevor Rogers, Will Warren. Man, they're kind of baiting you to bet the Yankees. I can't do it just because Trevor Rogers has been so good, but I do think it's kind of warranted. If you take Trevor Rogers out of this picture, which obviously he's a big part, but he's probably only going to go 5 or 6 innings, and the Yankees just saw him. Will Warren's been really, really good at home. And I know that I think he just got lit up by somebody. I can't think of it off the top of my head at home. Or no, he got lit up on the road in Boston. That's what it was. And then I think Boston got to him in Yankee Stadium. So if you take out the Red Sox starts, Will Warren has been pretty damn good for this Yankees team, actually very good for this Yankees team, so especially at home. But again, Trevor Rogers has continued to do Trevor Rogers things, so I'm not trying to lay juice to fade him at all. And the Yankees bullpen isn't 100% right now either. Weaver's going to be 2 of the last 3 days. They used Bednar today. Williams is going to be back-to-back, which is probably a positive thing at this point. But again, there's just too many questions for me to actually bet the Yankees. So you can put Baltimore up for me at the heavy price, but I don't think I get there. What about you, Spoon?
I like Baltimore first 5 here with Trevor Rogers. Pretty much what I like to bet when I see him on the mound. I full confidence he can keep us in this game. 6 innings pitched versus the Yankees out there in his last start, and Will Warren saw the Baltimore Orioles in his last start. 5 1/3, just 1 earned run, 4 hits, 2 walks. I think the Orioles find a way to get a couple runs off Will Warren here. He's had a pretty good season at home, 3.28 ERA, but his last 3 home starts, 4.86 ERA. A lot of that's that Boston start. I think the Orioles just find a way to get 1 or 2 runs on the board, and I think Trevor Rogers blanks the Yankees again. This guy's had an amazing season. He's going to go out there and get paid.
Yeah, I like I said, can't argue that at all. Next game on the board, Tampa Bay on the road in Toronto. Adrian Hauser, Shane Bieber. Do you think that the Blue Jays got their swagger back after finally doing something today? After that was, what was it? They did something in 1 inning. They hit 2 home runs. I say no. I'm not betting Tampa Bay, but I'm not laying 180 plus with Toronto right now. What about you?
This is a tough one. I don't know if they necessarily have their swagger back. I think that comes with Bo Bichette. That's kind of a tough lineup without him, but I think this is a pitching mismatch here. We have Adrian Hauser out there on the mound. I think the Blue Jays find a way to get a few runs off him, and Bieber's pitched lights out for this team since he came back from injury. I think this is a final tune-up for him. The Rays are not a lineup that's alive. They're not playing for anything, and Toronto needs wins here to end the season. They want this division. I think this is a spot to lay. Blue Jays -1. You could build it around -125.
The Royals just had a base clearing 3-run double to go up 8-4 for anyone who cares.
I was
Let's
like,
go.
that game is nuts.
What was your pick, Spoon? I'm sorry, I was getting the score up.
I got Blue Jays -1 here, -125.
You can put up the Rays for me. I won't be betting it, but the only reason I'm not trying to lay juice and I'm not trying to take down Spoon's pick, but Hauser's been feasible and this Jays offense has not been feasible over the last couple weeks, and I'm not trying to lay that price. And Hauser really struggles with lefty bats. He's pretty decent versus righty bats, and there's one, maybe two lefty bats in that Toronto lineup. So it wouldn't shock me if this game was more of a coin flip as we get into the later innings, and kind of anything can happen then. So, but anyway, I'm not betting it. So next game on the board, Detroit on the road in Boston. Detroit, I'm glad I didn't play Cleveland today. I said 130 or better. They started at 140 plus, and I was like, nah, I'm good. Detroit finally came through and got a win, a couple home runs, start the game off fast. Riley Green got involved later. Now Kyle Harrison takes the bump for the Red Sox, who've been playing pretty well. Casey Mize, average at best over the last couple months, and that's kind of being nice, I guess. What are your thoughts on this one?
Huge series. One game separates these two teams in the wild card race. There's one spot left for these two teams in Houston, or 2 spots left for these two teams in Houston. So I think this is a terrible spot for Boston to have to put Kyle Harrison out on the mound.
I couldn't believe that they're using this guy.
It just shows where they're at on the season right now. Tigers have gotten to lefties on the full season. They're second in baseball in WRC plus, 9th in baseball last 30 days. I think they find a way to get to Kyle Harrison tomorrow. I don't know how deep he's going to go into this game, but his last start, he went 6 innings pitched. Maybe they're trying to get a little more length out of him. They're going to have to figure out a way to win at least one of these games if they want a chance at the playoffs. I don't think it's tomorrow. I think Casey Mize goes out there and finally pitches up to his prospect pedigree, gets Detroit one game closer to the playoffs.
You can put the over up for me. I won't be betting this game, but like I said, Casey Mize has been average at best, but it hasn't been terrible. It's like 5.5, 6 innings of 2 or 3 run baseball for the most part, against some decent teams as well, especially offensively. But Boston has been very good offensively the last couple of weeks, so I wouldn't expect them, or I don't expect them to just get completely blanked. And with Kyle Harrison on the mound, like Spoon said, Detroit has been pretty decent versus left-handed pitching. On top of that, his one start at home in Fenway Park, he got absolutely destroyed by the Padres. So I'm just not in a position where I think that Kyle Harrison can pitch well. We all know him from his Giants days. I'm sure Spoon can remember those days where he was just a highly touted prospect and he just never really did anything. So I think obviously Boston's in a bad spot having to put him on the mound, but I think it's 9 for a reason. It would only be over for me. Next game on the board, Grimace on the road in South Beach. Sprout versus Alcantara. I bet Grimace. Don't care. Too cheap of a price. Am I crazy?
No, I'm on the Mets too. It's -125, I think is the number I paid.
I got 130, but yeah, same difference.
I think Sprout is a really good young pitcher. We've seen 3 starts from him now at the major league level. Seems like he struggles a little bit more with lefties than he does righties. And this Marlins lineup is not stacked with lefties. They only have a couple in there. Again, really big game for the Mets. This doesn't matter to the Miami Marlins at all. Sandy Alcantara put together a decent season by the end of it. Started out really rough. Still at home on the full season, 4.53 ERA. The Mets find a way to get 2 or 3 off him. I don't necessarily know that they blow him up, but I think by the time the bullpen gets in there, the Mets find a way to win this game handily. I think this is a really cheap price because you have a rookie on the mound versus a seasoned vet. Really big Sandy fan, but this is a Mets spot for me.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. It's not me trying to fade Sandy, but I will say that he has pitched better against Colorado, Detroit, Philadelphia, this Mets team, Atlanta, St. Louis, and Boston. Take that for what you want. But this Mets team, especially offensively right now, is really humming. And I truly believe that Miami was on like the highest of the highs going into Philadelphia and winning that first game. And I think that we've seen the air let out of the balloon, as I like to say, over the last couple of nights. And they went on that road trip. They had to go on the road from Miami all the way out to Colorado, into Texas, then up to Philadelphia. Now they could have come back down to Miami without any days off. I just feel like you're really asking a lot from this Miami team. I just feel like this price was way, way too cheap to get with the Mets. So I already bet the Mets as well. Next game on the board, Rangers on the road in Cleveland. Jack Leiter, Slade Ciccone. Spoon, your thoughts? I'm already on the Guards.
You're on the Guardians?
Paid $145.
I think the market's finally caught up to Cleveland. I do think Cleveland wins this game. I think this is a pretty fair price to pay for it as well. But I think where I'd rather go is the under 8 in this game. You can get it minus 120 right now. Jack Leiter, I think matches up pretty decently versus this Cleveland lineup. He struggles a lot more with righties than he does lefties on the full season. Cleveland has been getting to righties here of late, but on the full season, they've still been one of the worst teams in baseball. The way they've been winning games is not by scoring a bunch of runs. It's by keeping their opponents from scoring a bunch of runs. And Slade, his last time out, 7 innings pitched, 0 earned runs. I think he can do something similar here versus Texas. I like this under.
Yeah, I already bet Cleveland here. Jack Leiter is my guy, but I mean, he really hasn't been very good lately, to say the least. So Miami got to him, Houston got to him, Milwaukee got to him in 4 2/3. He looked decent against Arizona and the Athletics, but not enough for me to go on the road with a Texas team and a bullpen behind him that's 2-8 their last 10 against a Cleveland team that's, I mean, trying to take over their division, or I'm sorry, keep their division lead. What is it? Were they tied now? Whatever, trying to make one of the most historic comebacks in Major League history. And like Spoon said, Ciccone's been really good. His last 2 home starts, 13 2/3 innings, only 2 runs on 4 hits. I think Ciccone's going to be fine. Cleveland didn't use any of their major bullpen arms today. I think Cleveland wins this game. I think we just keep on betting Cleveland. So I didn't bet them today, so I don't have any bad will against them. So maybe that's
the biggest divisional collapse in the history of baseball.
Yeah, it's absolutely wild. Pirates, next game on the board. Pirates on the road in Atlanta. Mitch Keller versus Joey Wentz. Don't know if I'll do it. Kind of want to bet the Pirates.
Kind of want to bet the Pirates.
Just saying.
So Mitch Keller struggles a lot with lefties. 1.45 whip versus a 1.05 whip to righties. This Atlanta lineup's chock full of lefties. Pretty decent hitters at the top. You're probably going to see, I think, 5 in there tomorrow. Pittsburgh's lineup doesn't really scare me. Joey Wentz, his numbers on paper look disgusting. You look at him on the road the full season at 8.03 ERA, 5.46 total ERA. But the teams he struggled with are the good playoffs teams. Seattle got 6 off him. The New York Mets got 6 off him. The Milwaukee Brewers got 5 off him. When he's facing just lower level opponents, Miami, even Cleveland's lineup before they got hot, Detroit and Houston the last 2 times out, he's not been getting hit up very bad at all. Less than 2 earned runs to all of those teams. This Pittsburgh team is a different team on the road than it is at home. And I think this is a spot where the Atlanta Braves kind of take care of this last series at home, get a couple wins for their fans. It's a lot of juice to pay for Atlanta. I would have to build a -1 to do it, but I could only be on the Atlanta Braves here.
I'm not going to be betting the Pirates most likely, but I do think that they're kind of playing well. And with these young group of guys, that means something to me. And I think that they're going into this with the starting pitching advantage personally. The bullpens, I guess you can give it to Atlanta, and obviously offensively you have to give it to Atlanta. But Mitch Keller's been pretty decent, especially over his last 4 or 5 starts. I know this last start against the Athletics wasn't great, but I mean, he's been facing some pretty decent teams as well, like Milwaukee, on the road in Boston. I mean, St. Louis, he went 6 innings, gave up 3 runs. St. Louis has probably seen him 4 times this year, so I don't even really put too much stock into that. So on the road, he's been somewhat decent. I just don't trust Joey Wentz like that. And the Pirates have been playing with some life here. They've gotten to a couple lefties in the last couple of weeks, but I'm not going to bet it, but I think this price is kind of ridiculous personally, but we'll see. Next game on the board, the Reds, man. The Reds, man. That game today. Did you see that?
I did not catch it.
They did absolutely nothing pretty much the whole game, and it was 2-1, and Brian Reynolds hit a 3-0 pitch over the wall, and Marte got it and saved their season for them in the bottom of the ninth, or top of the ninth, excuse me. So now they go on the road.
I was just watching.
Yeah, now the Reds go on the road and face the Brewers, who were just embarrassed in San Diego. Zach Littell, Quinn Priester on the mound for Milwaukee. Are we sure Quinn Priester is going to go?
No.
It looks like it, judging by this price. I would assume so. But and he didn't pitch in San Diego. So, what are your thoughts on this one? Is there any way you can get to the Reds at a big plus price?
So, it's kind of looking at this from like a managerial perspective. If you're the Brewers, you control the Reds Mets matchup right now. Only one of those teams will get in. If you're the Brewers, I think you'd rather see the Reds in the playoffs than you would the Mets for that potential series. I don't know if the Brewers are going to think that far ahead. But at this point in the season, I think they pretty much have home field locked up. They got a couple games there. I think this is a spot where the Brewers can decide if they want to win this game or not. I think you get a ton of value fading Quinn Priester. Kind of on a generational run of his own with the amount of starts he's won right now. I think this is a Cincinnati Reds spot. It's been really a hard thing to do to try to pick spots to fade Priester and get any money out of it. But Zach Littell has been a pretty good starter at times this season. He's struggled a little bit down the stretch, giving up quite a few runs, but Cincinnati really needs this game. Milwaukee doesn't. And I think Milwaukee would rather see the Reds in the playoffs than the Mets. Big plus price. Give me the Cincinnati Reds.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. My issue is they're not going to have Pagan. The bullpen's not 100%. And like you said, Littell has struggled down the stretch. But you can put the Reds up for me. If Milwaukee gets bet up, I probably take a stab on the Reds. But I 100% agree with you that there's a lot of value fading Quinn Priester right now. That doesn't mean that he hasn't been pitching well and the Brewers haven't been winning. But I will say over his last 7 starts, he's went past the 5th inning. He went into the 6th inning, I think twice. So he's really given you essentially 5 innings of baseball. And then you're going to get a whole bunch of shots at that Brewers bullpen, which, again, they've been fine. But when you're going to be facing a desperate Cincinnati team with a huge plus price, it definitely makes me lean towards Cincinnati. If they had a full bullpen, I would probably actually bet it. But with the bullpen concerns and Cincinnati offensively just being just bad at times, it's just really hard to get there.
You think the Brewers will really punt this series to get the Reds in the playoffs? I don't know if the Wisconsin residents have that level of critical thinking in them.
Probably not. But at the same time, I don't know. I'd have to look at all the situations because it wouldn't matter because the Mets. Let's see, they're not going to. Would they play the winner of the Mets Reds? Is that what it would be? Or sorry, not Mets Reds. It would be Mets and
Padres Cubs, right?
It's Padres Cubs and then Mets versus whoever the
Brewers would get the winner of the Padres Cubs. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I doubt they would do that for the NLCS. Like, I feel like that's insane. I think they would rather just win.
Probably. I still lean the Reds, but regardless, yeah, that's it's an interesting one for sure.
Lines have opened on this one. It's Houston minus 145, minus 150-ish. The Angels at plus 125, who just finished the game, but they don't have to travel or anything. Total's at 9.
Yeah, Houston coming down from Sacramento. That's like a 2.5-hour flight, I guess. It would only be Houston for me. I'm not betting it. I guess they looked somewhat decent today, so maybe they got the monkey off their back, but I'm not trying to pay minus 140 for this team right now. I know they had to use waste Abreu today, which was not good for them. So it would only be Houston, but I'm not betting it. Spoon?
Kyle Hendricks' last start as a major league pitcher here.
Jesus
I think
Christ.
he goes out there and finds a way to pitch decent for a few innings. Jason Alexander coming off a terrible start, didn't make it out of the 2nd inning versus Seattle, gave up 7 earned runs. But before that, this guy's pitched really well. His main struggle is lefties. You don't have to worry about that with this Angels lineup. I'm getting close to an under in this game. Lines are coming out kind of late. I think an under 9 is just too many with these two offenses right now. Houston's pretty injury plagued ending this season. And Kyle Hendricks has been pitching well the last 5 games, 6 innings pitched in back-to-back games versus Kansas City and Houston, just 3 earned runs combined between those games. Followed it up with 2 7-inning starts versus Colorado and Minnesota, where he didn't give up an earned run, and then a bad start versus Seattle. But I think he's got one good start left in him. This under 9, I'm pretty close to it.
Comment coming in from a fan favorite, Rod Z. How do you think about this one, Spoon? Bet against your boy Kyle Hendricks on the money line after giving up 1 or less earned runs in his last outing. Hendricks' team record during the 25 season, 0-8. Can't do it 2 times in a row. That's your boy, Spoon. That's your boy. Any thoughts? No?
I think this is a little special. It's his last start. This guy's had an amazing major league career. I think this Houston lineup, when they're healthy, all the bats are in there. I'm sure they could put up a couple crooked innings on him, but as it's constructed right now, I think there's enough holes in this lineup. He can find a way to get through it. 5-6 innings pitched with just 1 or 2 up there. Maybe the Angels will find a way to lose this game. I've been fading him for a little while now. It's just hard with the Hendricks on the mound.
I feel you. Next game on the board, Dodgers on the road in Seattle. Emmett Sheehan, George Kirby. Your thoughts on this one?
Oh, wait, do we have lines?
I was going to say...
No lines, no pitch. George Kirby is not confirmed.
I was going to say, I don't know if you see Kirby tomorrow. I think they're going to save him. Just depends on how they want to use him in the playoffs, because I would assume he's their number 3. But if Brian Wu isn't healthy, that would make him their number 2. So, that'll be an interesting one. Next game on the board, Snakes on the road in San Diego. Zach Gallen, Pooh Darvish. Kyle, you're going to have to type. You're going to be pissed off. My wife's already pissed off. Arizona first 5 on the money line.
Didn't you promise her you wouldn't bet him again?
I know she's upstairs with the baby right now. She can't hear shit. So plus 118 is the number. This doesn't make any. First of all, this number doesn't make any sense to me. Arizona has been playing really well. I know that the Dodgers series was kind of hit or miss, but I mean that is still the Billionaires Boys Club and the Dodgers. And you have Pooh Darvish on the mound, who hasn't really looked right at all, and he's been playing like lackluster lineups as well. White Sox, Colorado, Cincinnati, Baltimore. I mean Seattle and LA. That's fine, but he hasn't really been looking great. He really struggles with lefty bats. You're going to see a whole bunch of lefty bats in the Arizona lineup tomorrow. Perdomo, Marte, Carroll, Vargas, Thomas, McCarthy, all these guys are going to be betting from the left-hand side. I think this is a really good matchup. And then as far as Zach Gallen is concerned, he's been pitching really, really well. So, again, if you've been watching this show for years, you could probably bet San Diego first 5 on the run line and to be very, very safe, because every time I put money on this SOB, he absolutely bends me over in ways that you can't even imagine. So I will never forget last year on the road in Milwaukee. But regardless, I think this is a really, really good spot for him. Schultz was on the radio talking today about giving guys day off and trying to keep them fresh. So I think that you see a couple guys. Obviously, Laureano's already out for the Padres. Manny's been limping at times. I wouldn't be surprised if a couple Padres got the day off tomorrow. I bet Arizona. I'm absolutely disgusted with it. Spoon, you can take over.
Yeah, no, I like Arizona too. I like the first 5 look. I was debating the full game money line just because what do the Padres really have to play for? That bullpen is elite compared to Arizona's, but if we're putting in the bottom arms because they just want to get to the playoffs with as many healthy arms as possible, then who do we really see out there? I think the Diamondbacks can get at least 2 or 3 off Darvish, and if the bad arms come in, I think they can get a lot more. And I mean, Zach Gallen, he's pitched really well down the stretch. Just 1 bad game versus San Francisco here in his last 6 starts. This is Arizona Diamondbacks one shape or form for me.
Couldn't agree more. Next game on the board. Don't think we have lines for it. No opinions.
Nothing. The Morales is not confirmed as starter for the Athletics.
Yep. Couldn't agree more. Anything? I think the next couple games are the same way.
The last one right here.
Oh, that's right. The Rockies game. That's right. It's 8. That's why. Rockies on the road in San Francisco. Herman Marquez versus Kaiwi Tang. I guess Tang's been pitching better the more that he's been in Major League Baseball. I will give him credit. At least he passes at least a little bit more of the eye test for me. I guess this number's 8 because it's San Francisco and these teams offensively are just piss poor, but I lean over here. Am I missing something, Spoon? I mean, not that I'm like running to the window to bet this, but I kind of thought that 8 was kind of a low personally with these two guys on the mound, even though I just said he had been pitching well.
8 in Oracle is not a small number. I mean, this is one of the more pitcher-friendly parks.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, though. Like, it's kind of makes me think that there's runs are going to be scored regardless.
Yeah, I could see runs on the board. I mean, these are two pretty bottom-of-the-barrel pitchers. I think I also see McDonald in a few places for the Giants, so Tank could be the bulk reliever. They kind of work in a tandem pair there.
Yeah.
Either way, not a huge pitching change. I think this is a huge plus money spot on the Rockies. Kind of tempted to actually play it. These end of the games, end of the year matchups don't really mean a lot. It kind of becomes spring training and which bats are in and which bats are out, who's actually trying. The Rockies have one of the worst records ever recorded in baseball. Just by regression standpoint, they're due for a couple wins here at the end. Huge plus money price. Give me the Rockies.
Yep. I feel you. It would be over for me, but I don't think that the Giants with anybody on the mound should be minus 230 favorites against anybody in Major League Baseball personally. So everybody, you know where to Spoon, tell us where to get your stuff, and then Sauce, you can take over.
You can find all my action on X at Spoon's Bets, and on Thursdays, join over Pub Sports Radio with our guy Jimmy the Bag, who's helping out with NFL here, the Sauce crew. Have a good one, guys. Good luck.
Yeah, Spoon does a show over on Pub Sports. The guy I was with last night and the NFL show on Wednesday night, that's Pub Sports. So, all right, I'm putting the college football segment on. Later, guys.
Have a good night, guys.
All right, it is Thursday. Now, normally, Duck is on live right after Sean Green, but this week we have to record it earlier because you're, by the time everyone's watching this game will have happened, but you'll be at the Army ECU game tonight, right?
Yeah, I'm attending this one in person tonight. I can't wait. It's going to be a fun game. It'll be cool to see Army in person. It'll be interesting to see if ECU can rebound off of a little bit of a disappointing performance last weekend. But yeah, I'm attending this one live tonight.
Cool. Yeah, so by the time everyone's watching this, that game will have ended. Yeah, that'll be fun. And for those of you that don't know, this is Duck. Step on a Duck is his Twitter handle. Comes from the Action Network. So let's we got some interesting choices here this week. So for those of you that have never watched the segment before, I let him text me a list of games. I added a couple on them on this list as well. First one, Western Kentucky, Missouri State. And when I first looked at this game, I was like, oh, Missouri State can complete some passes on Western Kentucky. Don't be surprised if they go shot for shot with them. I would love to get like a Missouri State plus 6.5. And then I see 4.5. And I'm like, damn, that's a pretty sharp number. That number's pretty on the money. What are your thoughts here? Are you trusting Missouri State first in the country in explosive play percentage? Is that a number we can trust here?
No, I don't think so. I think when you look at this here, Missouri State is such a matchup-driven team, and I think this is a really bad one for them. You look at the issue here for Missouri State is they want to attack you through the air, but they're not proficient in having a string of successful pass plays through that. So they can't run the ball very well. 2.7 yards per carry as a team and just 83 yards per game on the ground. And they don't put together enough successful plays through the air. So they're very reliant on the explosives. If they don't get the explosives, they're not moving the ball. And the major problem is the way you attack Western Kentucky is you do that on the ground. And Western Kentucky has really solid coverage units per PFF. They grade out pretty well. It's unsustainable to just live and die by the chunk explosive plays when you're not really efficient doing much else. Missouri State has given up 18 sacks and 39 tackles for loss this season already. Just really not good. I think Western Kentucky will feast on that offensive line and live in the backfield here. You look at Maverick MacGyver, had a really disappointing game last week against Nevada at home after the bye week, but they're going to feast here against a Missouri State secondary that's 133rd in pass EPA allowed, 124th in pass play success rate, and 106th in pass play explosiveness allowed. Missouri State is so jerky offensively, and if you're not getting the chunk plays and the big explosive plays, they're not moving the ball. And with their lack of ability on the offensive line to generate any rushing lanes or protect the quarterback, this is a bad matchup for them. I'm laying the 4.5, and it's one of my favorite plays of the week.
Wow, one of your favorite plays of the week. All right, so here's what I will say. In terms of, you said Western Kentucky, they grade out well in terms of coverage. And look, I'm not going to pretend that I've watched every single Western Kentucky game this year. I will say they've only seen one team that can throw the ball, and was Toledo, and they didn't look all that great defending the pass in that one. Toledo had some pretty efficient passing numbers. I'll put over up. This isn't a game I was particularly interested in, but both teams throw the ball a lot. So I'll put over up, but not a ton of interest.
Yeah, and I think you look at that spot against Toledo. Western Kentucky beat Toledo last year. That was a major prove-it spot for Toledo, coming off the loss against Kentucky, and this is one that they had circled, did the Rockets, to try to get them. So I wasn't really surprised that they kind of put up a stinker, but you look at the way that game kind of played out. I think Toledo ran for 300 yards on the ground. And the way you attack Western Kentucky is to run it on the ground. And if you can't do that and you're not moving the football, I mean, Missouri State 29% on third down, 15 out of 51, red zone inefficiencies. There's just a lot here that I think Missouri State's been a fun story. They have a great quarterback, Jacob Clark.
Yeah, he can play.
I just don't know if they can move it on this team. They're so matchup driven. It's gonna be a lot here for them. They defeated a really bad FCS team in UT Martin last week, and they did go on the road and beat Marshall. But again, it was the chunk plays. They didn't have a lot of consistent success in all of their plays. It was really the chunk plays that they needed to move it. So, be an interesting Conference USA matchup. Western Kentucky is now the favorite in CUSA, so be interesting to see how they play. Kind of with that.
I suppose the market has lost some faith in Liberty after that start.
I would say so. I have too.
All right, next up, Arkansas State, Louisiana, Monroe. I personally think this line is a little bit of an overreaction to what we've seen. I mean, obviously last week, terrible data point for Arkansas State. I mean, Arkansas State's supposed to have a quarterback, supposed to be one of the more talented Sun Belt quarterbacks, to go on the road against Kennesaw, 4.6 yards per play, 36% success rate on the offensive side of the ball. That is not going to cut it. So they played one terrible game. Other than that, I mean, I'm not crucifying Arkansas State for not playing well against Iowa State and Arkansas. Come on, man. Iowa State and Arkansas, they're expected to get beat up in those games. So I don't really care about those two games. But week 4 on the road in Kennesaw, one bad data point. And by the way, when we're talking about Kennesaw State, they made the quarterback switch, and they like that kid, Amari Odom. So don't be surprised. Remember, there's a new head coach out there in Kennesaw State. They're running kind of like a running gun spread type offense. And this is the quarterback where, the head coach, Jerry Mack. Jerry Mack, this is a guy he's known him since he was a kid and like followed his whole career. This is the guy he wants, Amari Odom at Kennesaw. So don't be surprised if Kennesaw State's offense is sneaky good down the stretch. So again, they lost on the road to Kennesaw, and at first glance, you're like, how do you lose to Kennesaw? I think in a few weeks, you'll be like, oh, I completely see how you could lose to Kennesaw. So I'm not overreacting to any of that. I think the wrong team's favored in this one. Granted, it's down to 1 now. When I first looked at it, it was 2.5. I agree with the movement. I think Arkansas State wins outright. I don't think Louisiana Monroe is very good. I'm not going to pretend to have watched all their games this year, so maybe you can shine some light. What's going on with Louisiana Monroe? Personally, I think Arkansas State wins outright.
I mean, it's not a bad play, and you're really playing on the series trend there. I'm wondering if you know this or not, but these teams have played each of the last 15 years. Do you know what the against the spread records are?
No.
Arkansas State has won and covered every one of them.
15?
15 in a row. This is an under-the-radar series domination from Arkansas State. 15 in a row they've won and covered against Louisiana Monroe.
That's crazy.
So it's really stunning. You are really, if you're going to play Arkansas State, you're really going with the series trend here that the Red Wolves have owned Louisiana Monroe. You know, I look at Arkansas State and I support your position from the fact that Arkansas State was in such a downer spot going to Kennesaw. They had just played Arkansas in-state team that they had never played before, didn't play particularly well. And then they had a chance to host Power 4 Iowa State in a game they did play well in. They held the Cyclones to 24 points. And in that game, they had 4 scoring plays taken off the board by the referees due to phantom holding penalties or whatever else. They had every chance in the world to win that game against Iowa State. So you lose those 2. Now you're going to Kennesaw, which is the smallest FBS stadium in the country, and it's an environment they've never been in before. It was so reasonable for them to have gone and put up a stinker. Now, you look at Louisiana Monroe, and they thrashed their FCS opponent, and I think we might have talked about that one in week 1. And then they kind of paid the price for Alabama having a bad game against Florida State, lost 73-0, which is skewing the metrics. Then they get the bye week to regroup, and they were 6.5-point underdogs at UTEP last week. And the way that they played offensively was just absolutely incredible. The way they ran the ball with Braylon McReynolds and Dorian Lewis, they ran so pissed off and angrily against UTEP. They averaged 6 yards a carry and ran for 250 yards and just completely whipped UTEP all up and down the field. It was incredible to see. So there is a little bit of offensive improvement here for Louisiana Monroe. And if you're looking at the totality of Louisiana Monroe's season, they started 5-1 last season before the slide, really started last year against Arkansas State was the slide. If they want to go bowling this year, which I think is really a realistic team goal for them, this is one they have to win at home. I think it's more of a coin flip than what many people who would just look at the series history would be led to believe, which is why the game is at -1. I really think Arkansas State's defense is atrocious. 7.5 yards per play allowed, 5.5 yards per carry on the ground. They can't get off the field on third down. 53% of third downs against them have been converted. And even the red zone numbers don't look really overly impressive defensively. They're allowing touchdowns on 77%. Yeah, so this is just really tricky with Arkansas State trying to go on the road here, and that defense is just so leaky. 7.5 yards per play allowed all season, 5.5 yards per carry on the ground. Can't stop anyone on third down. 53% of third downs against them have been converted, and allowing 77% touchdowns in the red zone is just – the defense was bad last year. They lost a lot of production. We're starting to see the defense slide. I like Jalen Rayner. I think he's a good quarterback, but the defense just cannot be counted on to get stops.
All right, so we're on opposite sides of this one. I will say, look, I can't defend the Arkansas State defense right now. Looking at these game logs, I will say it's Arkansas, Iowa State, and then a road game against a Kennesaw State offense that I think is way better than people think. So I'd like to see if they struggle defensively here against Louisiana Monroe. I will concede that Nate Trailing ain't doing it. I still think that defense will be better than last year. That's not saying much. So yeah, we're on opposite sides of this one.
Yeah, and that's okay to be on opposite sides, have a little disagreement. This isn't like my strongest play of the week or anything, but I'm kind of where you are, where I really want to see it with Arkansas State before I put a lot of stock in it.
Yeah. Yep. Florida State on the road in Virginia. I already talked about this one, and I'm putting out a video on this one later tonight. So this is all you. You guys are, if you subscribe to this channel, you guys already know that I'm on Virginia plus 7.5. So, Duck, take it away.
So the question that we have to ask ourselves is, do we really believe that Florida State is the 7th best team in the country, or is it just a matter of time before Tommy Castellanos reverts back to old form and we see the mistakes, the turnovers, the flippant play with the football that plagued him at Boston College? One thing that I'm a real believer in is when you have to go on the road in league play for the first time. We saw Florida State play a really good game against Alabama. It was really a good half or a good couple of middle quarters, and Alabama was sleepwalking through that. But then if you're honest with yourself, they beat East Texas A&M and Kent State in the previous 2, and they really haven't been tested in a hostile environment yet. I really like what I've seen from Virginia. I think they've got it humming from the quarterback position. Morris has played brilliantly. They've been in some close competitive games. They've already got a league win under their belt. And this crowd on Friday night is going to be absolutely electric here. I think when you look at Virginia, they're going to provide resistance defensively to what Florida State wants to do. Only 10 out of 48 third down conversions have been given up by Virginia's defense this year, and they're holding opponents to 3.3 yards per carry on the ground. The Hoos have 9 sacks and 21 tackles for loss this season. They're going to get after Tommy C, make him hold the ball a little bit longer, squeeze it a little tighter. This could be really, really tricky here for Florida State. I think, I mean, you look at Morris, 71% completion percentage, 8-1 touchdown to interception ratio. They UVA offensive line, their team rushing average is 6 yards per carry on the ground. They've only allowed 1 sack. So you have an ascending offensive line. You have a great quarterback who's playing confidently at home. I am all over the 7.5. Absolutely no question. I think Virginia's live to win this game on the field.
Yeah, and judging by now, this has been hanging around at 7 the last couple days. It looks like the 7s are getting cheaper, so it looks like it's closer to dropping to 6.5 than it is coming back to 7.5. And I agree with every single word you said. And Virginia's defense is also healthier than it was the first couple games. Cam Robinson should be, well, he is back. He just played on the last game, and they have a safety, Antonio Clary, who missed a couple games as well. I don't know for a fact that he's back, but yeah, the Virginia defense should be healthier as well. So yeah, let's do it. Cavs up.
I love it.
Yep. Next game, Duke Syracuse. Okay, so the first thing that happens when I look at this game is both teams top 10 in pace so far this year. Both teams throw the ball a lot. So I was like, oh, okay, the final score of this game's 49-45. Obviously, the lead story, Angeli, out for the season for Syracuse. So we're talking about Ricky Collins playing quarterback. For Syracuse, they're rocking with the backup quarterback. But before we say, backup quarterback, we thought this guy was starting up until like 2 or 3 weeks before the season. So it's not like there's a huge drop-off. That was an open quarterback competition. I don't even think we found out that Angeli was the starter until fall camp. So the idea that this is just a huge drop-off, I'm not sure. I don't know a ton about Ricky Collins. I watched a few YouTube videos. Seems to have a little bit of a slow release, but I can't make that deduction based off what I watched. I didn't watch anything. I'm also not a scout. You know what I mean? So I did the best I could. I have been a firm believer, a firm defender of Jeff Nixon calling the plays there for Syracuse. They lose Kyle McCord. They lose all that talent. The entire Syracuse offense from last year is gone. You know what? They come back out. They're still moving the football and still putting up points, and they haven't even played the easiest schedule. So I'm a believer in Jeff Nixon, and I'm a believer that Ricky Collins can step right in and give you something close to what Angeli was giving you. Now, on the other side, I don't know how Syracuse makes a single stop against Duke. I love that Duke offense, and Mensa's made me a believer this year. But I think Syracuse can go punch for punch with them. This is a Duke defense that loses Nick Morris. That's their linebacker. He's out for the season. It's got to be – I don't have the bet on the game. It's got to be over or maybe a glance at the Syracuse plus the number. What do you think?
Yeah, I could definitely see that position. And Syracuse is certainly getting a lot of respect after going down there and whipping Clemson the way that they did. There is a chance that they're patting themselves on the back a little too much this week, though, after that win, and maybe celebrating a little too long. We saw it with Ricky Collins against Colgate, where Colgate really played poorly in the first half, and Angeli led so many scoring drives for Syracuse. And then they put Ricky Collins in for a couple of series, and he just looked terrible. So they pulled him and put Angeli back in. Syracuse got shredded by Colgate in the second half, and really it was quite stunning, the defensive performance against Clemson and how they were able to hold Clemson really at bay the entire first half. I mean, the Clemson Tigers offense is really, really in a bad way here. So that was really quite fascinating, but I don't know. I'm really worried about Syracuse here and their ability to secure stops in the dome. I think Duke's going to put up a massive, massive number here, just like they did last week against NC State. You know, they really started to find it in the middle quarters against the Wolfpack when they were down by a couple scores, ended up scoring like 5 or 6 straight possessions to take firm control over that game here. But I don't think Duke is they're still at a point where they need to rattle off the wins to try to make their season successful. And off that huge win for Syracuse, I would be led to believe that there's a chance that this week it might look a little different. So I would lay it with Duke. I did lay it with Duke. But the over is certainly a play that I would say I would support there, as Duke could be in the high 40s and Syracuse will be good for 28.
I wrote these notes early in the week, and I said I make this game 61.5. So I'm guessing when I wrote that, what was the total at? Was that 50? Oh, wow. It opened 56.5. So I guess when I wrote these notes, the total was a lot lower than it was. I didn't even notice that till just now. So yeah, I will say, I think we've seen enough I think we're deep up enough into the season where I think my questions about the Duke defense are valid, though. I mean, dude, their numbers against the pass. The crazy part is the defensive line is generating pressure. Nobody can run the ball on them, but they just can't seem to cover anybody. And their numbers against the pass in their last 3 games, Illinois, Tulane, NC State, are not good. So I agree that I think Duke might score in every possession here. Although I will say this is probably what holds me off of everything, and this is probably the wrench that gets thrown into it. Fran Brown is a defensive coach. This is year 2. Syracuse played a pretty solid defensive game last week. What if Fran Brown has that defense trending upwards? And I know defense and Syracuse haven't been mentioned in the same sentence the last couple of years, but what if that Syracuse defense is trending upwards? So there's a lot of moving pieces in this one, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, the fact of the matter is Syracuse has given up 1,820 yards in 4 games. I mean, their defense is not good. I mean, 500 against Clemson, 408 against Colgate, 400 against Connecticut, and 500 against Tennessee. So I don't think the defense is improving, if I'm being honest with you. They give up yards in bunches. They give up 6 yards per play. So it's going to have to be a score fest. The only way I would play this would be I mean, the total is certainly worth a look. And you even an alt total, over 68.5, over 72.5. Both of these defenses are really, really struggling. We could see over 1,000 combined yards here. At the end of the day, though, it is really tricky when, you look at, you mentioned Collins. We were thinking he was going to be the starter just a couple weeks before the season. There's a reason they went out and got Angeli, and there's a reason they wanted to replace Collins. If he would have been the guy, they maybe wouldn't have done that. I'm not saying he's garbage. I'm not saying he won't move the ball a little bit here, but I would be much more inclined to believe that this is going to be a 2-touchdown game than a field goal type game. But either way, there'll be a ton of points, a ton of points.
Cool. I agree with that. Let's move on to South Alabama, North Texas. It's Mean Green time. We're a Mean Green network.
Yeah, we are.
That being said, I think it's gone a little far here. We're now laying 2 touchdowns with the Mean Green. I kind of was, in fact, with it's come down a little bit. When this was sitting at 13.5, I was like, yeah, man, if it hits 14, I might have to fade the Mean Green. I think the number's a little. Why don't you go first? What do you think here?
Well, we've seen South Alabama just play so Jekyll and Hyde this year. They have not defeated an FBS team. They played very competitively at home against Tulane. They played really spirited football on the road in a wire-to-wire cover against Auburn. And then they had a chance to really kind of get their season turned around, and they played one of the worst offensive football teams in FBS in Coastal Carolina, and they, in the second half, just played a complete turd show. Couldn't really get off the field. They were turning the ball over. The Coastal defense was making plays, and it was just unbelievable to see a team come out so flat and so just blah against Coastal Carolina in a game that they really needed to win. Now they're 1-3, and I really wonder where this team's heads are at and what they're kind of thinking and assessing for their season the rest of the way. We've already seen them defensively. I mean, they struggle to get off the field on third down. 54% are given up on third down, 28 out of 54. And red zone defense is just really lacking for South Alabama. They allow touchdowns on 80% of the red zone trips, and they have not yet secured a turnaway on all 15 red zone trips have resulted in points. North Texas feasts in the red zone. They have such an efficient 26 out of 27 red zone trips have resulted in scores for North Texas. And the fact that they've had 27 trips in just 4 games, I mean, it's 6 or 7 attempts every single game for UNT. And I mean, I love Mestamaker. We saw it last week against Army. I think both of the games that have been played last week by these teams perhaps ended up in misleading finals, as South Alabama had the lead at half and then blew it against Coastal. And you look at North Texas, they were up 28-7 against Army. Defense kind of got a little gassed playing against the scheme. But then 3 times in the second half, North Texas had a chance to punch it in and go up 3 touchdowns. They had a turnover just outside the red zone. I think they missed a field goal and couldn't really take control of that one. But you get the Mean Green back at home. Look at their home performances this year. I have no interest whatsoever in fading this team at home when they've outscored their opponents 110-10 in their 2 home games. And I think South Alabama is a descending team. They're not nearly as strong as they were last year with Gio Lopez. I think the Mean Green are going to lay it on them again here. So the only way I would play this would be to lay it.
Wow, I think I would go the other way, and it pains me to do so. But I like that running back they got there at South Alabama. His name's Bullock. He's good. This is a team that is pretty diligent about sticking to the run. That it's been pretty up and down. We saw Army running the ball. I know South Alabama is not Army, and also that was kind of a little bit misleading, but we saw Army running the ball all over North Texas in the second half. Granted, that was on the road. We saw the South Alabama team running the football on Tulane, on Coastal, who cares, but Tulane's a respectable defense. So I'm not crazy about laying a big number when I think South Alabama is going to be able to run it. And look, the South Alabama defense can't stop the run at all. They're terrible. They even got run on in the Coastal game, I believe, which is just, man, pack it up. So like North Texas is going to move the ball. But in terms of running it, I mean, they're still going to be they're going to be missing their running back Sibley there. He's going to miss another game. He hasn't been playing. That's not a new injury. So I really think the way I look at this game is I really think this is just the number is a big overreaction. Let me ask you, what do you think this number would have been if this game happened 3 weeks ago? Because I think it would have been like six and a half. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I was like, dude, am I really moving shit a touchdown based on a few weeks? That's the way I looked at it. I love North Texas. I'm a Mean Green guy. I think the number is a little much based off a few weeks, especially when, I mean, Alabama, their data points, like, man, they covered on the road in Auburn. They played Tulane down to the wire. Like, they had one bad game is the way I'm looking at it. They can run the ball. It pains me to put up a different color in a Mean Green game, but I think this number's inflated.
You know, the other thing I'll say, too, is the schedule spot does favor the Mean Green. North Texas has a bye after this, so they should be fully locked in here on this one. South Alabama plays one of their major rivals next. They go to Troy, which is a conference game. It's a regional rivalry there. So, I don't know. I don't think a 1-3 team is going to be looking ahead to anybody, but, you know, a non-conference game, you're 1-3, maybe don't really want to go on the road here and win this one. I think the next one is the one they will really want to get, but tough to say, to be honest with you. I think, you know, this line opened at 9.5 and got steamed immediately. I think it got all the way up to 13.5 before coming down a little bit. So, yeah, I mean, you could be on the right side for sure on that. I don't really want to step in front of that Mean Green train.
Yeah, I don't have a bet on it. I said, if this hits 14, I'm doing it. I'm fading the Mean Green. That was my stance, and then it never did. I woke up the next morning, it was down to 12.5. So, yeah. Next game, I got to say, so I had North Carolina against Central Florida, obviously not even close to a winning wager or the correct side in any way, shape, or form. I got to say, not that this is a hot take or anything. I mean, I think most people would have said this, that Scott Frost is a better college football coach than Bill Belichick. I think pretty much everyone's on board with that. But just how much better was pretty apparent. Because keep in mind, North Carolina had an excuse in the TCU game. TCU brings back a ton of production, the same coaching staff there, same quarterback. They played their first game ever with a brand new coaching staff, brand new roster, and they played one of the most experienced, well-coached teams in the country. So they kind of had an excuse in the TCU game. What's their excuse here? Because Scott Frost has a brand new roster at Central Florida as well. It's a brand new roster, too, completely built through the portal. And what's your excuse there? Just because to me, it looks like one head coach just has their team rolling a lot quicker and a lot more smoothly. So, yeah, I've become a Scott Frost truther now. Look, at Kansas State coming off a bye, do they get their shit together? Do you think Kansas State gets their shit together here?
I'll say it this way, and the circumstances are tragic and unfortunate, but I will say, if you hadn't heard, UCF's offensive line coach, Sean Clark, died this week, and he was in the hospital for many weeks. The only people who knew he was dying was Central Florida. The reason they went out and just completely ass-whooped UNC is because they were playing for their dying offensive line coach. Nobody else knew that. So they got a massive motivational bump to play for their guy who was lying in a hospital bed dying, and he died on Monday. And that sort of motivation is something that, when you don't know it, you can't cap it. But aside from that, UCF was significantly much more buttoned up than North Carolina was, and North Carolina just looks absolutely terrible. Awful. Very, very bizarre. They can't tackle. They're out of position. They take bad angles on defense. But had I have known what I know now about their coaching situation and the guy who was laying in a hospital bed fighting for his life, I mean, UCF would have been such an easy play. Now the question is, do they get a bump emotionally as they can rally the troops this week? The team that's going to benefit, I'll go off course just slightly. The team that's going to benefit from this news coming out about Sean Clark is App State, because most of App State's players were recruited by and played for Sean Clark, and the App State coaching staff is using that as motivation for their team this week against Boise. So that'll be something to watch for App State. In this game, I don't know, man. UCF pulled the quarterback, and after they made the switch at quarterback, they've played lights out offensively. They look crisp, they look sharp, they look competent. I don't know that I'm really interested in fading Taven Jackson and UCF at this time. The spot would call for Kansas State to get a big win at home and try to regroup and get their team to a bowl game, because right now everything we've seen from Kansas State is they have just played like complete turds this year. But something leads me to believe that UCF is kind of got their stuff together to a point where they can go on the road and at least make this game competitive. What do you think?
Agree 100%. And I was nervous. I was like, he's going to take Kansas State. We're going to disagree again. Now I got a plus 6.5 in pocket. I was just so impressed with the with how well oiled this machine is already. Taven Jackson looks excellent. He's handling pressure extremely well. And going on the road against Kansas State, Kansas State, we could sit here and talk about how bad they've looked. We could do an hour podcast on that. But one thing I still trust about Kansas State, I still think they have a very strong defensive front. I still will go to bat for that defensive front. I don't think anyone's going into Kansas State handing the ball off, averaging 6 yards a carry. It's just not going to happen. But so we know Taven Jackson's going to be under pressure in this game, and from what we've seen, he's doing an excellent job of handling. He looks like he's been a 3-year starter there at UCF, and so the strongest element of Kansas State is that defensive front, and if Taven Jackson's able to weather that pressure and make some throws, or at least keep from making the big mistakes, UCF should be right in this game, because the truth is, on the offensive side of the ball, Kansas State is broken right now. The offensive line, we've kind of just we've come to believe like Kansas State will have an elite offensive line every single year, because they always do. That's how we've always – Kansas State's always got a good offensive line. I don't even have to look at it. We know it's going to be good. Well, it's not good this year. They lost, I think, 3 or 4 starters from last year, and then the piece they brought in from Ohio State to start at left tackle got injured, so he's not playing. So this is the first time – I don't even remember the last time I've seen Kansas State with a bad offensive line. The offensive line is bad, and to make matters even worse, Avery Johnson, when he gets a clean pocket – he's not doing anything with it. I mean, I don't know if his receivers aren't getting open. I don't know if he's not on the same page. I don't know if he's not seeing the field. As far as the reason for it, we could get into it. But he's just not playing well. He's been under pressure. And when he's not under pressure, he hasn't really been under pressure. But when he's under pressure, he doesn't make good decisions. He doesn't make good decisions from a clean pocket. There's nothing about Kansas State's offense that I like right now. I don't even know what's going on with Dylan Edwards. Their wide receiver, Bradley, who was supposed to be their big-time incoming transfer, he's out indefinitely. So there's just nothing about Kansas State's offense that I like. And UCF, even though if you just line it up talent-wise, they're not nearly as good as Kansas State, this team is just humming right now. And this looks like a team that's been playing together for years. So, yeah, I can't see them getting beat up. Also, does UCF just not lose games under Scott Frost? What is that, 16 in a row now? He just doesn't know how to lose? For those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, Scott Frost went undefeated with UCF in, was that 2017, and left.
National champions, according to them.
Yeah, according to them. And then he left, came back this year, and has now won the first 3 games or whatever. So he hasn't lost a game as UCF's head coach since 2016. 16 straight wins for Scott Frost as the UCF head coach. And maybe what's been going on, maybe he's about to run the table again, man. Honestly, that was impressive against North Carolina.
Yeah, a couple other things to support the position. Kansas State, EPA per rush, 113th nationally. Rush play success rate, 106th nationally. 89th in rush play explosiveness. So the offensive line is playing significantly worse. Central Florida, really good defensively at preventing explosiveness against them. Now they have played Jacksonville State, a really bad North Carolina A&T, who's at the FCS level, and then the Tar Heels, who are a complete mess. But even so, the metrics show that Central Florida is really good at preventing the explosives. So for Kansas State, it's going to be like grinding this game down and trying to move it 4 yards a carry on the ground. And you look at Avery Johnson and his passing numbers, he just has not shown the ability to improve. That was the big question in the offseason for him is, can he improve as a passer? Is he going to get better? Is he going to start making the right reads? And up to this point with Kansas State, I just haven't really seen it with him. I don't understand necessarily why, we don't have any pass explosivity. They're not using the tight ends in the passing game. 6.7 yards per attempt and 850 yards, but you would have thought it was going to be better than that for this team to win the games that we would have expected them to be able to win. That's really been a disappointing season for K-State.
Yeah, for real. I don't think anyone could have seen it going this bad. Maybe if you saw the offensive line, but they just always seem to figure it out, and they always seem to figure out a way to be a strong team. I'm surprised. I think everyone's surprised. Now let's go to the most disrespected head coach in college football, Chris Creighton. 6.5. Are you kidding me? It's finally they took some money. It's down to 5.5. Actually, Circa's got it down to 4.5. Finally. I'm on Eastern Michigan plus 6.5. I think they win outright here. Look, who is Matt Drinkall in Central Michigan be laying close to a touchdown to Eastern Michigan? Look, for those of you who don't know who Matt Drinkall is, he comes from Army, so they run some sort of a spread option, very slow offense, run the football a lot, and that's a pain to deal with, especially if you're laying a number to a team like that, because the game's going to be a crawl. You're talking about laying a touchdown with a team like that, they better be damn good, and the truth is they're just not. I'm sure they will be, and they've been pesky in a few games. They did pick up a great win against San Jose State to start the season, but the truth is they jumped out to an early lead, and then San Jose State continually shot themselves in the foot in that game. It's not like Central Michigan just went in there and just took the game start to finish. It was more like, wow, San Jose State looks really bad. And despite playing like the worst football game ever, they still had a field goal attempt to win it and missed. So Central Michigan, this new look option offense, it hasn't been very efficient so far. Now, granted, the data points are a little weird. They played San Jose State, Wagner, and then they played Pittsburgh and Michigan. So it's like there's two extremities there. So we haven't seen Central Michigan against like an average team. But Eastern Michigan defensively is not an average team. They're far below average. I will say, I think Eastern Michigan's defense, a little bit of a buy low here. Jamarian McNulty's their best defensive player. He just came back last week. He had missed the entire beginning of the season. And their linebacker, who's their other captain, McNulty's the captain of the team. Their other captain is Mauchin, the linebacker. He might be back too. He played in week 2, missed week 3. I think that's the situation there. I think he's listed as questionable for this one, so I don't know. But the point I'm making is we haven't seen Eastern Michigan's defense with their 2 captains on the field at the same time yet. So maybe that happens this week. But regardless, I'm not really making a play on the Eastern Michigan defense. I will say McNulty comes back from injury. First game, Eastern Michigan wins. Upset as a dog. So he does make a difference, and he's the captain there on the defensive side. But really, my play's on the other side. Man, this Eastern Michigan offense is good. They can move the ball. Noah Kim can play. Porter Rooks got involved last week. He had 7 receptions. That was the guy that was supposed to be their star receiver last year. Missed the whole year with an injury. was limited all through camp. Hasn't really gotten involved. Now, he only had like 39, 40 yards or something, but he had 7 catches, so it's good to see him getting involved in the offense. There's some injury concerns on the Eastern Michigan offensive line. There's a couple of pieces listed as questionable, a couple of pieces that have missed games. But regardless, Central Michigan's defense, not great. So I trust Eastern Michigan to move the ball here. I'm a little worried that they've lost 6 consecutive football games to Mount Pleasant. Chris Creighton has never won a game here in this building. Don't love that. But you know what? They should have won the last time they came here in 2023. They had a late lead. They blew it, and then they missed a field goal to tie at the end. So they would have covered this +6 the last time they came here. Eastern Michigan is a little bit healthier than they were early in the season. I think they went outright. Are you with me?
Well, I'll tell you where I'm at with this one. So I laid 4.5 with Central Michigan early in the week. The weather projection was such that there was supposed to be a system that came through, and Mount Pleasant was expecting 30 to 35 mile an hour winds, which would have really inhibited Eastern Michigan's offensive attack because they're not going to be able to run the football here. They're going to have to pass it. Now, the wind has tapered off. It's now 16 to 20 miles an hour. It'll probably be 0 by the time kickoff happens. So with no wind, the over is the only way I would play this. Eastern Michigan's defense is really, really rough. 129th in defensive success rate, 127th in defensive finishing drives. Eastern Michigan's 122nd in securing defensive havoc. They're not going to have a lot of negative plays, will Central Michigan. There's not going to be any pressure on the quarterback when they do throw. And on the other side, you've got the offense that's just been completely lighting it up, and they've been just such a pleasant surprise with Noah Kim. You look at what Eastern Michigan had last season, and it was just so jerky offensively, and you couldn't count on the Eagles to do much to move the football, and they were just so stuck in the mud. But this year it's been anything but. You look at Kim, 64%, 5 touchdowns, 1,000 yards passing through the first 4 weeks. And Eastern Michigan has really found something offensively with him. And this team plays hard. They sign up for 60 minutes. They play hard until the buzzer, and so I really like that about them. You've got a massive rivalry here. The Michigan MAC trophy's on the line. Eastern, Central, and Western Michigan hate each other. It's real spirited games year in and year out. Should probably be really close and competitive. Again, I've got the Central Michigan ticket -4.5. Maybe we get the wind, maybe we don't. But if we don't get any wind on Saturday morning, I'm going to slam some money across on the over because both of these teams will have offensive success against the other. And while Central Michigan does try to play slow and methodical and truncate the game through, I think they'll really generate some chunk plays on the ground. The rushing attack will really be able to get going here against the Eastern Michigan front. I mean, they've got some dudes that can run the ball. Biggins and Trey Cornish. Central Michigan's running backs are pretty solid. But Central Michigan also struggles to defend the pass and could get eaten alive here by Eastern Michigan's offense. So should be a high-scoring affair, should be a fun one. Again, I'm gonna hang on to the ticket I have for right now, and if we don't have any wind come game day, Saturday morning, I'll be slamming a play across on the over.
Cool. Let's go Eagles. So, Duck, where can they find your stuff?
Yeah, Action Network. I do the G5 deep dive with Michael Calabrese. I write up articles for the app. I do the BBOC live show on Saturday mornings on YouTube. I host the BetUS live show with Kyle Hunter on Tuesdays and Wednesdays at 1 o'clock. And I'm on your program every week as well, which has been a lot of fun. It's been great to talk college football, and look forward to that continuing here as we get into the crux of the season.
Yeah, for sure. Make sure you guys give him a follow. That's his Twitter handle right on the screen there. Everyone, have a good night. See you all tomorrow. Yo, thanks everyone for watching. I'm pulling an all-nighter. So the Friday night stuff, give me about an hour and a half. I'll have the Friday night video up, and then I don't think I'll have the Saturday college football video up tonight, but I'm gonna get most of it done tonight. I already recorded most of it. Just needs to be edited, and I have to record like 12 more games. So yeah. Let's